Awesome, we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm Jamie Chapman, and today I have with me two very special guests that work for a really cool company, and we are talking about career opportunities at TaxJar for military spouses and for veterans. I have with me today Heather and Elisa from TaxJar, and I'm going to give you both an opportunity to give a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll jump into our conversation about career opportunities at TaxJar. If we don't mind, Heather, if you'll start, and then we can go to Elisa, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today, Jamie. I'm Heather Wilson, and I oversee employer brand and events and have some hands in recruitment marketing at TaxJar. I am also the child of a career military dad, so I'm a brat, and I am also the wife of a veteran, so I understand the military spouse lifestyle very well. And I'm excited to talk about this and opportunities for MILF spouses and vets today.
Awesome. Elisa?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jamie, for having us. Really happy and stoked to be here. But yeah, my name is Elisa Campos, and I head up the recruiting team here at TaxJar. I've been in the recruiting realm for the past 10 years, give or take, working with technical roles and non-technical roles. So yeah, just really thrilled to be able to provide more insight on our remote positions that vary across different industries. So yeah, thrilled to be here.
So the question of the day, and I don't care who answers this, but what is TaxJar?
You want to take this one, Elisa?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, TaxJar. So we're a SaaS-based company that basically our main focus is trying to solve a problem around sales taxes. So we're leveraging tech when it comes to if you are a small e-commerce business, like say you have an Etsy shop, an Amazon shop, and you want to just focus on the business, we're going to be that third party that kind of manages anything pertaining to sales taxes, which is very complex. And basically, yeah, nobody really wants to deal with it. So let's take on that burden ourselves. So yeah, that's who we are.
Awesome. And so let's talk about the career opportunities at TaxJar. I heard about you all a couple of years ago. I was just perusing, as I do sometimes, looking at job boards, looking for virtual and remote employment, thinking about the military spouses that I serve and where I could send them to apply. And then TaxJar pops up in the feed on some job board somewhere. Well, then I start researching the company, and you're amazingly well reviewed. You have 100% virtual workforce, and you provide all these amazing benefits to your employees. So Heather, if you don't mind talking a little bit about kind of a day in the life as an employee at TaxJar, what it's like, and then we can talk about maybe towards the end of our conversation, how a military spouse could apply and some tips and tricks.
Sure. It's funny you say a day in the life. I was interviewing a candidate the other day, and it seems kind of kitschy to say, but there's really no day that is the same. We're on our toes, and we do sales tax. That's the premise of the business. But I actually don't have my hands in sales tax. What I do supports my amazing teammates who are geniuses at it. And so for me, a day in the life is, I wake up in Northwest Arkansas and in -8 degrees with lots of snow. And I connect with my teammate in San Diego who's enjoying sunshine outside and on her back deck. And then we're talking about planning amazing experiences for our team, whether it's virtually or when we can finally be together again in person. And we're doing what we're doing now, reaching out to communities to look at the best candidates and to cast a wider net. Historically, tech is a very monocultural industry, and we want the best. We're lucky that we're remote. We get to work with the best. We are not limited by geography. So that's a day in the life for me, is where are we going to reach the best candidates to come and join our team and then promote this awesome culture that we have. And to your point about benefits and perks, the those are really great things. And internally, once you're a teammate, you see, we just take one of the best benefits is just how much we care about each other and what great care we take of each other. And I know that sounds a little corny, but it's very true. I think most would say the same.
That's awesome. Elisa, do you have anything to add about actually working at TaxJar in a day in the life?
Yeah, so it's always different. I'm usually the one interviewing, so it's to be on the other side is a bit different. But in terms of like the day in the life, like the way I work, I mean, we're working standard business hours across the different time zones that you're in, and then really flexible around like getting work done. Like I know some folks may have some priorities happen in the beginning of the day. Maybe they have children to take care of. Maybe something happens where their priority shifts, and that's okay. Like they eventually get back to work later on. They log in and they're able to complete whatever work, middle or end of the day. And that's one of the really awesome things about working here is that transparency and trust is very much alive across all the teammates and especially across leadership. Having worked with other remote companies, that was definitely not the case. But yeah, usually we're working on Basecamp, which is the main software that we use to kind of communicate with each other across different teams and directly with your own team. And then when it comes to the different roles, like, I mean, we rely heavily on cloud-based platforms. And of course, having a machine and an internet, then you're set, like you're able to complete your job. And hence why the beauty of working remotely is very alive amongst all of us. But yeah, usually I'm taking breaks here and there on occasion. I do have to remind myself to log off every now and then. But yeah, by 5 o'clock is usually when I try to tell myself, you know what, that's when I'm trying to wind down. And yeah, I get back to the rest of like my life after work. Because that shift can be a little bit tough sometimes, removing yourself since you're at home already working, and then you're not in an office, right? You're already at home, so you can continue working at times. But yeah, I would say mostly on my laptop, answering questions through Basecamp and doing interviews is what mostly my day consists of.
Awesome. And this sounds like a dream for a military spouse. Your workforce is dispersed. You're not all in the same location. You got Heather in Arkansas, you got folks in San Diego. And as you may know, military spouses are dispersed. They're all over the place. So do you have any folks, any eligibility requirements that we should know about? Because considering that military spouses are stationed not only in the US, but all over the globe, is there anything, you know, if you're a military spouse, are there special considerations that you may need to consider about being eligible to be employed there?
Yeah, I can take this one. So in terms of eligibility, like right now, we're only US based. And so as long as you're authorized to work in the US, yeah, that's who we're right now working primarily with. Who knows, we may eventually go international at one point. We're just not there yet. But I don't foresee that not happening. It's just going to take a couple of years before we get there. So for now, like anybody based in the US is eligible to apply. Even if you're in Alaska or Hawaii, like you're eligible to apply. We actually had an employee working out of Hawaii at one point. And that's totally fine. If you end up traveling abroad, like I've seen individuals complete stints, but it's usually they always come back to the US as a base, right? So they're not spending longer than like 3 months in a country or longer than even a month, actually. So.
Okay, good to know. So let's talk about, hold on, let me put myself over here. Let's talk about actually the application process, what that looks like. And I've included, if you're watching, if you're a military spouse, drop a link or drop in the comments, tell us that you're here, ask any questions that you have for Heather or Elisa. They will be happy to answer them. And feel free to @tag their names so they get it directly. And then also in the description of the video that you're watching, I put a link to the TaxJar career page where you can go and look at all of their awards that they've won as an employer. And just, it's absolutely amazing the caliber of employer that TaxJar is. So I'm super impressed. They've won every award in the book, I think, that they make. So just take a look and poke around their website. In terms of the process, ladies, how do you apply? Is there anything that we need to know that's special about your application process? What are your tips and tricks?
Yeah, so in terms of tips and tricks, so everything is online. Again, we're fully remote, so we don't have like a physical office where you can drop off a resume or of any sort. So if anything, like our website is going to be your best way to get in touch with us and actually look at all the open roles that we have and see which is possibly a fit for you. We are also on LinkedIn, and we do occasionally get messages through there, but we want to avoid having anybody get inundated, like getting lost in the messages that we get through LinkedIn. So again, we want to refocus on the TaxJar's job page and looking at all the open positions so that you can attach your resume. And yeah, a lot of the times, most of the applications too, a little bit of a quick tip, we ask questions around just wanting to learn more about the individual. And really, really big tip is around like really giving us your backstory. Like we want to hear about it. Culture is really big to us, and we have folks from different walks of life, and we want to learn more about you. So the more clarity and transparency that you show, like that's always been like an eye catcher. Again, because we're fully remote, over communication definitely is key across all of the team.
That's good to know. So
Yeah,
you're interested in learning if somebody is actually military affiliated, whether they're a spouse or a veteran. You're interested in that backstory because it helps you know if they're a good culture fit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's science, it's data, but beyond that, diverse companies are more successful because we have a lot of thoughts and ideas from different people, and that just makes us better. We say that our why is we're in pursuit of better, and by reaching out to veterans and military spouses with their incredibly they're both niche and complex, these backgrounds, they're what they have to bring to the table, that makes us better. Potentially we have veterans, we have military spouses besides myself, and it just makes us better. I wanted to comment on add one small thing to the application process. First, I also want to say we actually read every single resume that comes through. It's not a bot. So what you are submitting to us is actually reviewed by our candidate experience team, AKA recruiters, hiring managers, hiring team. You are not just being scanned through some ATS system and a number, and we really put time into reviewing. So showcase yourself. You don't have to be formal. Show yourself off. This is the time to do it. And then look into our mutual assessment. That is something that I don't know any other company does. I talk about it like this. A lot of companies, when you sign on, you're started on probation, which I think is negative, and it's a one-way street. We do something called a mutual assessment. It's a paid peek behind the curtain. You're assessing us while we're assessing you. You're getting a preview of TaxJar, our team, and the culture to see if it is also a fit for you. Again, I want to underscore that it is a paid sneak preview. And then you decide whether you want to stay with us while we're deciding as well. And you can look at our life blog. I can drop a link in the comments after that really goes into explaining more about what the mutual assessment is and why it also benefits the candidate.
And that's awesome. So not a lot of folks let you kind of do a paid trial period to make sure that you're both mutually a good fit for each other. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And sorry, recruitment team, that you have to read all of the resumes I know you're getting, because I know as folks like myself research your team and what you do, they're going to be interested in getting a job there. And that means you're probably getting a lot of resumes. So, wow. And whenever we're talking about, application tips, it's really great detail to know this isn't a computer system that I'm trying to trick and use keywords. I am going to get in front of a human. It's an amazing tip. We're coming up here on time, but is there any final parting words of wisdom or things that you would like to leave here with our audience today?
Yeah, I think in terms of like the remote life, like super, like one of the most beautiful things about working here is the fact that because we're fully remote, like our candidate pools are fully dispersed, and I'm just really I'm happy to be part of this company, right? Because I get to interact with folks all over the states, and yeah, different backgrounds, different ways of life again, and yeah, please apply, because then you would be partaking in that as well.
Yes, I just want to reiterate the same. There's absolutely no reason that military spouses and veterans can't have amazing career progression with remote. They should not be limited. I know that they are highly educated, highly adaptable and flexible, and underemployed. And I hope that TaxJar can be part of, helping that.
And you get really cool tracksuits when you work at TaxJar. Yeah, representing. All right, ladies, I appreciate you both. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourselves and about TaxJar. I hope that this is able to connect you all with some more applicants from our military spouse and veteran talent pools. And I appreciate you. Have a good time in the blizzard of the century.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Stay safe.
All right, stay warm.